welcome back to my channel 5 Minute Economics, where I teach economic concepts in a span of just 5 minutes. So I'm back today after this little break in my new setup, and I hope you get used to it as I'm getting used to it. So our first video in this new setup is going to be investment function. Remember last time I made a video on the consumption function, and I mentioned that definitely yes, I will be coming with another video on the investment function. So this video we'll be doing investment function and all you need to know about it entirely with schedules and diagrams. So yeah, let's get started. Also guys, don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel in case you haven't already. We just hit 10k subscribers some days back, so yeah, thank you so much for your love and keep the love coming. So guys, let's first come to the introduction of the topic. So I had explained to you before as well that aggregate demand has two components. Number one is consumption demand and number two is investment demand. I've done a video on consumption demand. I'll attach its link in the comment section below. So what happens, there is a shortfall of consumption over incomes at times, which leads to a consumption gap, and it is then the duty or the responsibility of the investment function that steps in to increase our aggregate demand and cover the shortfall. So first let me explain you what is investment expenditure. So basically consumption expenditure is expenditure on goods for our own consumption, whereas investment expenditure is the expenditure on goods that further produce other goods. So that is investment expenditure. And what are the two types of investments? Number one is autonomous and number two is induced. So autonomous investment, as the name suggests, it is independent of changes on income, changes in prices, wages, everything. And Keynes considered this particular investment in his analysis, whereas induced investment, as the name suggests, is that investment which is induced, which happens due to changes in profits, wages and income. So the income, we can see I is equal to F of Y, that is investment is a function of income. So firstly, let me explain to you two factors on which our investment depends, and mind you, you have to remember this always while studying the investment function. So number one is marginal efficiency of capital, commonly known as MEC. So what basically is it? It is the rate of return or rate of profit. We'll be studying this very much in the depth in the later part of the video. Secondly is our market rate of interest, which is the prevailing rate of interest on which our investment depends, which is denoted by I or ROI. I like to call it ROI. And this particular function you have to remember. So basically I, the capital I stands for investment, remember this guys, whereas the small I in economics always stands for interest. That's why I told you to use it ROI. So I is equal to F, that is function of MEC, and I, rate of interest. So now guys, moving ahead to marginal efficiency of capital, which is a very important topic under the investment function. So marginal efficiency of capital, as I just explained to you, is the rate of return or the rate of profit, and you should remember that always. So basically what we are going to study is that investment and MEC have an inverse relationship. What happens is that when our investment rises, our MEC tends to fall. And why does that happen? That happens because of two particular reasons. Number one is because of law of diminishing returns, which sets in after a particular period of time. So law of diminishing returns is a topic under law of variable proportions, and I've made a video on law of variable proportion. I'll attach the link in the comment section below where you can watch the detailed explanation of this particular topic. Secondly, because due to competition amongst firms. So what happens is guys, when there is a lot of competition among firms, what happens is that they tend to advertise, and that basically tends to increase the cost of production. And think logically, when the cost of production increases, our rate of return or our rate of profit obviously will fall, and thus giving us an inverse relationship between the two. So over here I've drawn a little schedule with investment and MEC, where investment is in lakhs and MEC is in percentage. So we notice that as our investment increases from 10 to 20 to 30 to 50, we see our MEC tends to fall from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5. So both have an inverse relationship. I put it graphically on this particular graph. We see investment is on the x-axis, whereas MEC is on the y-axis. And this curve is a very simple curve, just like the demand curve, which is negatively inclined. So we notice guys that when we are at a very little level of investment, our MEC is very high. But as our investment goes on increasing from I1 to I2 to I3, our MEC tends to fall, thus giving us this blue line, which is our MEC curve, which is negatively inclined. So now guys, moving ahead to the second component of the investment function, which is the rate of interest. So basically, rate of interest or ROI is the market rate of interest, the prevailing rate of interest, which we all study. So it is determined through the forces of demand and supply. So basically, we are finding how to determine our ROI. We determine it through our demand and supply, the equilibrium of demand and supply basically. So here we see how or what does our demand depends. So demand depends on transactionary, precautionary and speculative motives. These are the three motives for demand. In our particular analysis, we'll be considering the speculative demand for money. And what does the supply depend on? So the supply depends on, the central government, the central bank, the commercial bank. So that is how our supply of money depends on. So where do we get, or how do we get our equilibrium rate of interest? We get our equilibrium rate of interest at the point where our money demand is equal to the money supply. So that point of equilibrium between the two gives us the rate of interest. So now guys, moving ahead to determination of equilibrium level of investment under the Keynesian theory. So we've studied about the two components of investment in thorough detail, that is MEC and I. We know that, right? Now, when do we get equilibrium level of investment? So basically, don't forget this formula which we studied right in the beginning. I is a function of MEC and I. That is small I is ROI. So this you always remember. So what is equilibrium level of investment? It is basically at that point when our returns are equal to our cost. So returns basically is our MEC and cost in a business can be termed as I. So when MEC is equal to I, our returns is equal to the cost, we get our equilibrium level of investment. Remember, I'm telling you this in a very simplified manner. So when MEC and I, that is return, is equal to the cost, what will happen to our investment? At that particular time, our investment is in an equilibrium. Whereas if due to some reason our MEC is greater than I, that is our returns are greater than cost, obviously if we are getting more returns, what will happen? Investment has a tendency to increase. We will have more investment. Whereas on the other hand, when I is more than MEC, that is when the cost of a business is more than returns, then but obvious the investment has a tendency to decline. So I hope you have understood how do we determine the equilibrium level of investment under the Keynesian theory. So lastly guys, I'm going to teach you the factors affecting the MEC. So there are a few factors which affect the MEC. There are short-term and long-term factors. First, looking to the short-term factors. So number one is the expectation about level of prices. So basically, if we expect in future the prices to rise, there will be a shifting up of the MEC curve. Secondly, changes in income. Obviously, any positive changes in income will tend to give you more purchasing power, more demand, more returns, and our MEC will rise. Next, changes in the consumer tastes and preferences. So obviously, favorable changes will lead to increase in our MEC, whereas vice versa will happen if there are unfavorable changes. Changes in the cost of production. So obviously, the cost of production might change because of rise in the price of raw materials. What will happen then? Obviously, then our rate of return will fall because now it is more expensive to produce a product and our profit or return will fall. Lastly is business optimism and pessimism. So business optimism and pessimism is always there and it steps in. So this will affect a lot the MEC. So next, coming to the long-term factors. So long-term factors, we have technical investments and technical innovations. Any technical changes, any favorable technical change might lead to the increase of our MEC, that is rate of return. Next, development of infrastructure, facilities and transport, communication, roads. That will obviously enhance our MEC and give it a push. And lastly, any structural changes like changes in the population or changes in skill will obviously increase our MEC. So this is all about the investment function, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope this video was useful for you and I'll see you in the next video pretty soon.